All right. So welcome to another Run Wild with Us. Ask us anything.
Anything.
So, anything. So, I am Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder and executive editor of Running Wild Press, and I am here with Chris Major, one of our amazing editors. And we are here with you every Wednesday across Facebook Live, Twitter Live, and YouTube Live. So this is your chance that if you are a writer, or if you are an editor, or if you are one of our fantastic readers and fans, you can ask us whatever you want. And all you've got to do is go ahead and pop it in the comments section and we will respond. Now, what I want you to remember, if it is not 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time on a Wednesday, and you are watching this is not a big deal. You can go ahead, pop your questions into the comments section, and Chris and I, we check it every week to see if there's anything new going on, and we will respond to your questions. So, with that, Chris, how you doing?
I am good. Again, like I told you before we started, I got a new barber, so I got a nice cut that I'm digging a lot. I think I think I'm gonna like this one. So
Good.
definitely in a good mood.
Awesome. So, this week we didn't have any questions, official questions, I guess you could say, for our Run Wild with Us, but I did have a couple things like recurring themes that people were either asking me about or were coming forward in different conversations. So I thought we could start with that. Cool?
Sounds good.
Cool. Okay. So, I have gotten several emails from people asking, Lisa, what the heck? I submitted a story to you guys. When am I going to hear back? Okay, folks, please be patient with us. We love you. We love the stories that you send to us. Also, understand that if you haven't heard back from us, believe it or not, that is good news, because our process for reviewing submissions is we review all the submissions to see what ones are ready for publication, I guess you could say.
Right.
Or at least ready to be worked on with an editor. And based on those, all of our editors will go back and look at them and assess, are these stories that they want to work on, right?
Right.
And then based on that, we make offers. So if it's like today's March 10th, 2021, we've gone through pretty much everything. I think anything that we've gotten new since mid-January, I haven't had a chance to look at, but anything that we received before then have been reviewed. So if you heard back and the answer was, hey, it's not quite ready, then typically I gave you some kind of feedback as to some things to focus on. And if you haven't heard anything at all, again, that's actually really good news, because it means you're still in the running.
Right.
Now, as long as you are still in the running, you're not going to hear back from us. So until one of the editors picks it as a piece to be published by us, it's going to sit in a maybe pile. That's how we work.
And if I can, I was going to add, like that's pretty typical across any publisher, every publication, just because the volume of submissions everybody gets. It just takes time to comb through them. And sometimes, I know me, I have to let something sit with me after reading it. The writing may be good, but, I want to know if after I read it, if I walk away and still be thinking about it. Because typically that's what you want your readers to do anyway when they buy your books or read your stories. So that's me. If I walk away and I can remember a story, or I'm in the shower or getting something to eat and it comes into my head, then that's for me when I'm like, okay, I think I may like this.
Yep, true. Yeah, so like I said, unless the editors come back and say, Lisa, why'd you put this in the maybe pile? It needs a lot more work. Then you're going to get an email back from us saying, hey, here's some suggested approaches to revision. If you receive something from us and it did not have feedback on how to improve upon it or an approach to revision, then just email, reply to it and ask how it could be improved upon, because we're happy to give that kind of feedback. Right now, we're picking stories for 2022 for both Rise and for Running Wild. So one thing I want you guys to be aware of as well, what we're finding is that we're getting submissions under Rise that are actually literary style or commercial style or cross genre. So if it's something that we think is really good and we want to add it to our slate, if it is cross genre, literary or commercial, I'm probably going to send you an offer for it to be under the Running Wild imprint. And the same token, we're finding that there are some submissions we've gotten under Running Wild that are actually genre stories. So maybe they're young adult, maybe they're fantasy, whatever the case may be. And they are either written by people of color or they have are representative of an underrepresented group, like more like LGBTQ themes and so on. If that's the case, you may actually get an offer to be published under Rise. So don't be surprised if there's a potential that you may have submitted something to Rise and you may get an offer for it to be published under Running Wild, or you may have submitted something under Running Wild and you may get an offer for it to be published under our new Rise imprint. So just to be aware. Cool?
Sounds good.
Cool. Okay.
Oh, actually, I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Lisa, I had a friend who was looking to publish a book and wanted to know if we did anything academic. No. Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
No, we don't. We don't do academic. We don't do the only kind of poetry we do are narrative poems. So
right.
Poems that have stories. It's a story.
Right.
And the only genre we do is under Rise. We don't do genre under like hardcore genre,
right?
Or that are like 90% in a specific genre under Running Wild. So
right.
Yep. Good question. Okay. Next one. I literally had somebody message me today, and he said he was having problems with submitting his manuscript through Submittable. My request is, if you are having that kind of issue, that's a technical issue. And because that's a technical issue, there's nothing I can do about it. You have to contact Submittable's customer service or their help desk, and they can help you with it. Cool? Cool. Okay, next one. So this came up. We're getting a lot of, so I find this actually pretty fascinating. Because we are currently in the middle of sending out offers to people to publish their work in 2022, rightly so, right? A lot of the authors are going back to their critique groups and they're like, what should I ask? You know, I'm getting this contract. I don't know anything about contracts. I'm not familiar with this kind of stuff. What should I ask? What should I do? What should I insist on? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, I think that's fabulous. You should do that. Understand, though, that the questions that someone who is an independent, meaning they are purely publishing their own works on like Amazon, are going to be very different questions than someone who either has an agent or someone who has been published quite a bit by a small or mid-size or a large press. So I want you to be aware of that. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to put this out here, and I'll probably say it several times during this session, and I'll probably do it, put this offer out in future sessions. If you are an author, or if you or an editor, or even if you're a reader and you're a member of like a readers group, and you want me to come and talk about what you want, if you want me to talk about contracts, if you want me to talk about what royalties mean, if you want me to talk about publishing, how does distribution work, anything, go ahead, message me at editor@runningwildpress.com, or LKASTNER at runningwildpress.com. And just let me know that you would like me to come and speak to your writers group. Or your readers group. I will be more than happy to do that. You want me to come and talk about marketing, social media, whatever it is. I know these are topics that come up all the time with a variety groups associated with publishing,
Right.
whether it be readers or writers or editors or whatever the case may be. I am more than happy to chat. So I just wanted to put that out there. Again, just reach out to me, or even put it in the comment section that you would like me to come and talk to your group, and I'm more than happy to do it. Or message me on our Facebook site of Running Wild Press, so facebook.com/Running Wild Press. And I will be more than happy to come and talk to your group. I know a lot of people who are purely independently published can be very harsh on small presses or more mainstream publishing.
All
It's
right.
okay. I'm used to it. Believe me, I'm used to it. So I can take it. Don't worry about that. Again, I'm more than happy to come and talk to your group. So cool. I don't know, Chris, do you want to?
Yeah, outside of that, I think when it does come to people who may have more of a self-publishing background coming to look at what is typically considered the traditional route, because there are more parties involved and kind of the business model is a bit different. So
Yeah,
like you were saying, Lisa, I think people don't understand that, what may work in self-publishing does not work in traditional publishing, and vice versa, and that it's far more collaborative in traditional publishing. So it's not simply, this is how I want this thing to be done. This is how it gets done. This is how all this works out. It's collaborative. You have your editor. You have that. If I was working on a project, I'm working on one now. That writer has to work with me, who I have to work with you, Lisa, and we all have to come together and kind of agree on the best thing for this project. So it's not. I think a lot of people, when they do self-publishing, kind of get, I don't say, just more acclimated to being able to do that. And it is more of a, why you have to think about business a lot more, or numbers a lot more, when you traditionally publish. When you self-publish, traditionally, that's, as a writer, we just want the work to be good, get it done, get good. And, there's other team members that come in and help kind of the rest of that process. So, I just think that's the kind of one of the biggest things people don't realize when they're coming from self-publishing, is that it's far more collaborative. There's far more people involved, and that's just kind of how it works. It's not it's a different kind of sport, I should say, within publishing.
And understand, I am neither. I am not against self-publishing. I just want to put that out there as well. I'm actually pro. You do you.
Right.
Whatever will fulfill you. Whatever will make you happy. Whatever it is that will make you feel as though you have accomplished whatever it is that you want to accomplish, then you should do that. I am 100% down with that.
Right.
I also want to give there are two resources for all writers out there that I really think you guys should need to check out. So one of them is called the Writers Coffee House. If you are watching this on Facebook, you can look it up, Writers Coffee House. It is an open group on Facebook, and there are typically regional groups that meet. There's one that meet other than COVID, the time of COVID. There's a group that meets in Los Angeles. There's a group that meets in San Diego. There's a group that meets in Pennsylvania. I believe there's a group that meets in New Jersey. And it's a fabulous forum because it's across all genres, right? All forms. And it's more so focused on the business side of writing. So there's a lot of conversations around trends, around, who's taking submissions, what they're looking for, all that kind of thing, which is very important especially if you are an up and coming writer or you're, learning that kind of stuff. So check them out. Writers Coffee House, Writers Coffee House. The second one is called Roadmap Writers, and it's by Joey Tuccio, Tuccio, is the founder of Roadmap Writers. Another fabulous resource. They are currently doing a series with very well-known producers who take pitches from writers. Check them out because they also have a fantastic blend where they're marrying both the business side and how you should approach producers and agents. They do a whole series with agents as well as craft. So they actually offer a ton of classes that are wonderful, and they're taught by accomplished authors and editors that can really help you if you are an aspiring writer on your path, on your journey to publication. I also want to point out too, if you have a complete manuscript and you want to send it out you want to pitch it to an agent, then you can actually email, I think it's info@roadmapwriters.org. Go and check their website just to double check the email address and ask them to check out your pitch. Because what Joey will do is Joey will actually review your pitch and the first couple of chapters around, first 10 pages basically, which is typically what you would send to an agent. And he'll go over it and he will give you feedback because he already has contacts. He already knows a lot of people in the industry, both agents for it to be made into, paperback or hardback, as well as agents to have it translated into TV or film. So if you would love feedback from someone who is in the industry, who already has a good feel for, what folks are looking for, send it to Roadmap Writers. He does this for free. That's why I'm mentioning it.
Right, you can't beat that.
You cannot beat that. It's highly unusual that someone is that generous, and Joey is that generous. What's even more generous and fabulous is that if Joey reads your pitch and he's like, oh, so-and-so and so-and-so would love this, he will email you back and let you know that and just ask for permission to send it to them on your behalf. So it's a win-win-win, right?
Right.
If it needs some tweaking, he'll let you know how it needs to be tweaked. If he thinks it's good to go, he'll let you know that too, and he'll ask for permission to send it off to agents to see if anybody's interested. I think the number of they've actually facilitated something like 164 authors getting agents.
That's good. That's amazing.
That's amazing. So guys, check out Roadmap Writers. And again, their classes, I'll be totally candid. I've only taken their seminars, right? I've only attended the Q&As and stuff like that, but they are of quality. I'm sure that the classes, the seminars, those workshops are as good of, if not even better quality,
right,
than the free stuff. But definitely, Roadmap Writers, go check them out. Joey Tuccio, Tuccio. Cool. Okay. I also just had the opportunity to talk to a class at USC. I want to thank MG Lord for inviting me. And I just talked about publishing and running wild and all that kind of stuff. Along those lines too, if you are in college, if you are an undergraduate or a grad student and you would like to do an internship in publishing, reach out to me at, again, info@runningwildpress.com or at LKASTNER@runningwildpress.com. Send me basically a pitch, right? Your resume, where you're going to school, what your major is, and why you're interested in publishing. And if there's any specific area in publishing that you are interested in, because I'm going to be looking for a few more interns to start with us, I'd say in the June timeframe. I'm going to be looking for an intern, at least one, to help out with Rise, right, where we publish great genre stories written by people of color and other underrepresented groups. I'm going to be looking for an intern to really drive a lot of our work on audiobooks. And I'm also going to be looking for at least one intern, if not two, to work on our pitches. So they're going to be learning from me as about pitching for TV and film. So to producers and to studios and so on. So a lot of great opportunities there.
Yes.
Some real work, right? And then we also have, we currently have 2 internships that are around product management. So that's basically taking a book from the minute that the editor and the author agree this baby is good to go, and to see it all the way through getting the cover design, setting up all the publicity, working with the author on a publicity plan, and so on. So another fantastic opportunity. We currently have 2 internships. We're going to be expanding that to be at least 4. So, guys, if you, like I said, if you are in school, or even if you're not, right, if you just really want to learn the ins and outs of different areas of publishing, and especially if you have a specific area that you're interested in, reach out to me, LKASTNER at runningwildpress.com or info@runningwildpress.com, and I will be thrilled to chat with you.
And I'd just like to add too about the internships. I know when I was in undergrad, I did a couple, and they're just a great opportunity to, like you said, just piggybacking off of you, get on the inside and see the nuts and bolts of everything. Because then, kind of, I guess, when you're ready, or your manuscript is ready, or you're in a stage of your life in which you want to publish or even work within the industry in some form or fashion, you know how it works. You'll come in kind of with a leg up. You know how to tailor your resume to future employers. You know how, which, just notes you would need to hit in order to be more attractive to employers within the industry. So it's a great opportunity to come in and just learn, soak things up, and kind of get to see what publishing really is, as opposed to kind of taking these guesses and not necessarily understanding how the business works, and which could create obstacles for you to have to jump over, which would then take time. So definitely great opportunity.
Totally, 100%. And, to piggyback on what Chris just said, I think a lot of people go into especially more creative areas with a lot of assumptions around what is publishing, or what is writing, or what is storytelling. And this will give you really a nice balance of the analytical, the more business side, as well as the creative side, so that you get a much clearer view, so that, maybe you'll turn around and say, you know what, I don't want to do this,
right,
for a living. Or maybe you'll turn around and say, oh my God, this is my dream. I want to do this forever. So,
right.
And one thing that I forgot to mention, and I realize that this is probably going to be considered odd for a publisher to say this. If you are an author and you don't have an agent, I actually do encourage you to get one. Now, I know that for, major publishers, they all require, well, not all of them, 90% require you to have an agent. And there's a reason, right? Because the agents basically help vet submissions before they can even get to them. But a lot of small and mid-sized publishers don't require an agent. I'm telling you, we don't require an agent. I think that you, as an author, you need as many advocates as you can get. So if you have an opportunity to pitch to an agent minimally, right? Because that helps you in terms of presentation and getting a feel for, how and what you need to say, or what that interaction might be like. Take the opportunity to pitch to agents. And if you can get an agent, definitely go for it. Because
Right.
Like I said, you want as many advocates as you can get. And that would be true for any industry, right? You want as many advocates as you can get. So, I don't know, do you want to pick?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Again, like you said, we don't require that you have an agent to submit, but anytime, just like you said, there's a vetting process that a lot of times when you find with a lot of the kind of big publishers, that it's kind of really is a big reason why that entire kind of layer exists to vet for submissions. I worked with an agent before. The experience just at the time wasn't one for me, but that's one of the things that it was kind of articulated to me is that there's an extreme vetting process at some of these larger publishers. And this is just talking about publishing. We aren't talking about media or anything like that. Just
right.
So, and even some kind of mid-level size publishers do require agents as well. It may not be, Penguin or anything, but they, as far as size is concerned, they're a little bigger and they do require agents. But I would just kind of use it as a barometer. If I can get an agent to agree to represent me, or, publishing is hard. I mean, if I can get an agent to even ask for my manuscript, that'll give you a good, my completed manuscript, that'll give you a good gauge, a barometer at kind of where your manuscript is at that moment. Of course, everybody's not going to like, what you write. People have taste, but it's also a good barometer. So if you can get the attention of an agent, if you can get an agent to work with you, even the process and all that, because the process in querying agents is similar to the process in submitting manuscripts. It's very similar, synopsis, kind of a little biography about you. Most important thing, of course, is the writing, but there are other things that you would want to be, it would help you learn to pitch. Because let's say you get an agent and you sell your book and it goes to print and you decide you don't want to have to use an agent anymore. Now, if you were to submit to publishers that don't require them, you're far more presentable. You're far more professional. You know exactly what would be looked for. You know exactly, kind of the importance of each different part of the submission or the query. And I think you'd find that it may be even a little easier to get other publishers that don't require an agent to look at your manuscript, because by the time you've gone through that process, got an agent, you would have learned how to, I won't say properly query, but you have learned to be a little bit more tight about it, a little bit more put together with your queries and things like that. So it's a good idea. I very much encourage it, because the lesson in that, is teaching how to just put together your manuscript in a way. When you get to publishing, business meets art. That's just what happens. It's an intersection. And so the key in that is having to know when to put which cap on and understand who you're talking to. If you're talking to a publisher, that's the business. You're the artist. So that's when that meets, and there has to be a balance in that. And there has to be an understanding that, yes, this is art. It's nice. It's fun, but, businesses are run black and white by numbers. So with that comes practicality, and with practicality comes kind of having professional and very put together interactions with publishers that you have that will get you the opportunity to have your art looked at. So all that, an agent having that adds to that. Just having an agent does.
Totally. And also be careful and vet the agents, because there are plenty of agents who are not experienced, or those who they've, gone off on their own, or they're representing themselves as agents. So you want to vet your agents just as much, if not as more, as the publishers that you are submitting to.
Right.
So, like we had one author that we sent an offer to. He rightly so used this as an opportunity to submit the work to agents and say, hey, I've got an offer from a publisher. I'd love, would you represent me? The agent who responded was a more junior agent. And I've never experienced this before. The agent refused to meet with us and only wanted to negotiate through email, but was asking the kinds of questions that need to be discussed. They're not like
right.
Yes or no questions. And because of that, it just fell apart. So again, just be very, just be smart about how you're approaching agents. So
right.
Just putting that out there. Okay, so we are at the halfway point. And so for everybody who's watching, I'm Lisa Kastner, and this is Chris Major, and we are here for you guys to run wild with us and ask us anything. I'm the founder and executive editor of Running Wild Press, and Chris is one of our amazing editors. This is your opportunity once a week live to ask us whatever you want on Facebook Live, Twitter Live, and YouTube Live. It is also recorded. So if you are watching this and it is not 4 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday or 7 p.m. Eastern time, this isn't a big deal. You go ahead, you pop your questions in the chat, and then Chris and I go back, we check your questions, and we will respond to them in the subsequent week.
Yes.
Now, if you are watching now, woo! You can go ahead and put your questions in the chat now in the comments section, and we will respond to them in real time. So with that, I want to take a second to do a couple of promotions as well. So the first is we have our first book for 2021 is coming out on March 14th or March 15th. It is Something is Better Than Nothing by Alicia DeLaury. It is a memoir about her experiences with her husband coming back from war and having PTSD, as well as how her experiences with her father passing away at a pretty relatively young age due to complications of alcoholism. It is a phenomenal memoir. I really encourage you to pick it up. Again, that is Something is Better Than Nothing by Alicia DeLaury. You also want to pick up American Cycle by Larry Beckett. Larry is a phenomenon and an icon in poetry. So this is his collection of narrative poems about different American experiences. And he's been writing this for 35 years. So guys, if you are a poetry fan, if you are a history fan, you need to check this out. If you are a Larry Beckett fan, you need to pick this up.
Yes.
Another one that's coming your way, Stargazing in Solitude by Suzanne Samples. I am currently in the middle of finishing up the cover design for it. So you're probably going to see it hit bookstores in like September, October, probably like October time frame. This is the follow-up to her award-winning, named one of the best books of 2019 memoir, Frontal Matter Glue Gone Wild. So if you want the follow-up to Suzanne's debut memoir, pick up Stargazing in Solitude. And then the other one that I'm going to tell you guys about real fast is, actually there's two more. Take Me With You by Vanessa Carlisle. So that one is also going to come out in the next couple of months. You definitely want to check it out. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful writing. And then the next one that I'm going to tell you about really quickly is actually, we are partnering with the Pixel Project, which is a nonprofit, a digital nonprofit that fights abuse. So like women and children being sexually abused. And this is going to be a fantastic, again, collection called Giving the Devil His Due with some phenomenal authors. Definitely look for that. I'm going to say we're probably going to put that out there. I think we're also putting that one out there in like the September timeframe. So cool. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff coming your way, but that's the stuff that's coming in the little bit more immediate future.
Right.
So, all right. Let's see what else. So Chris, I know we had come up with a whole bunch of questions before. Do you have, I don't remember what they are.
Yeah, I got some questions right here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Because I didn't ask all of them last time.
That's true. You came up with some really good ones. So
let me see here. Probably should have pulled them up earlier.
I should have given you a heads up. That's my bad.
No. Jeez. Oh, sorry guys, I have to scroll through these emails till I find it. I'm
trying to think if there's anything we did.
Ah.
Oh yeah, and don't forget, guys, if you're watching this and you want someone to come and talk to your writers group, I'm more than happy to do it. I'll talk to you about anything from creative writing to craft to publishing to marketing, distribution, whatever you want. I'm more than happy to. I do ask. It does make it a little bit easier if you give me a heads up as to what the questions are going to be, but it's not mandatory. Just go ahead and message me on the Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, or message me at lkastner@runningwildpress.com, and I'm more than happy to come and talk to your writers group or your readers group, whatever you prefer. So
okay, yeah, I got a question. So, your early publications when you were kind of just getting started, how do you feel about them? I know I asked that. I'll go back and I look at my first publication. I can't make it through it. But I know sometimes I've heard that sometimes writers feel that way. They write a lot of stuff in the beginning of their careers and they go back, and of course, naturally, you keep doing something, you're going to get better at it. And they go back and they kind of don't like their earliest stuff as much. Like I said, I got a couple of my first couple of pieces. I have to tell like my mom not to share them because I don't want people to read it. It's not this bad. I've just, you grow. There's levels of growth and stuff. So do you have any pieces like that you look back on, you're like, and not that it's bad, just that, you've gotten better.
So, I mean, I started off writing journalism when I was a teenager. So in that space, I mean, I've never looked at it again.
Right.
I wrote it for a either print or whatever. And, I was getting paid for it. So it was like, yeah, okay, fine.
Right.
Most of the stuff that I personally have written has either been more like flash fiction-y,
right.
shorts,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, under 10,000 words.
Right.
I can't say that there are any that I haven't been able to get through. There are ones that I read them and I think, wow, I could take this concept and use it for a novella or a novel.
Right.
Yeah. Or like I could reinvent it, like that kind of thing. But there aren't any that I kind of like I regret having published, because honestly, to your point, right, each one is an opportunity for growth. And if you're lucky, you'll get to work with an editor who will help you grow within that genre, within that piece.
Right.
There are ones that I never had published that I go back and look at and I'm like, oh, yeah.
Like, there's plenty of those. I think everybody's laptop is kind of moonlights as a cemetery for bad writing. Or, sometimes good writing. Sometimes we don't know. We just leave it on there. I know mine. It's definitely a cemetery for a lot of stuff I have on here.
We all have writer friends. I have some that they keep their whole backlog of writing and all their writing notes, and they'll pull it up, after like 5-10 years or whatever, and use it more as like a launching board. You know what I mean? Like a way. They may not use the piece as it was written originally, but say, oh, wow, that's a really interesting concept. Maybe I can use it in this over here. Right. Which is smart.
It is. I mean, like I said, that's why I wrote a memoir, and a lot of times I've kind of gotten away from it now as the time has gone by, but I would just go through it. Again, mine it for stories or whatever, concepts, sentences, phrases I used, certain words I used, a scene of something, an idea. I definitely think it's a good idea to every now and then go back and check kind of older stuff, print or just sitting on your laptop just to check and see, does this have legs? Because I mean, time tells. If you look back and you read it and you're like, if it still sticks, it's like, yeah, okay, this was something. I just kind of put it down for a while. And I do that all the time. My work anyway. Like I'll write something and I'll just put it in the drawer. I mean, I don't even think about sending it out immediately. I typically send my stuff out around the same time every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I have so typically when I do it around like late fall, early winters when I start sending my stuff out. And I mean, it's like I'll have a bunch at one time, but throughout the year, I just write stuff, store it on my computer, and then at the end of the year, I'll just go sift through and kind of do my own kind of reading, vetting process and see which ones I want to put out and which ones I can work on some more, or So I definitely think it's a good idea to hold on to any writing because it can get easy to kind of delete it or not save it and lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even realize that, you may have this story you started 2 years ago may be your next novel, and now it's gone because, you just, you didn't save it. So it's definitely a good idea to do that.
I mean, admittedly, I've had like more memoir-ish essays or stories or, like memoir pieces
Right.
that I'm glad never got put in print because, in reflection, I don't know that I actually would want to share that kind of information with the world.
Right. That's a balance. That's a fine balance. Because once it's in print, it's out there. Like it's there once it's in print, especially if it's a online journal or online venue outlet. So yeah, it's definitely that's a balance with that. I think when it comes to that though, it's like when writing stuff that's really personal, I think it can be good because I think the impact can be very powerful as far as how it resonates with people.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely wouldn't suggest it if someone is kind of unsure about sharing it. I mean, there's some stuff you don't want everybody to know. Some stuff you don't care.
Right.
But yeah, that's interesting. I can't say. I think by the time I put something down on the page, like I'm ready to like I'll share with anybody. Because at that point, like I've worked it out in a story or an essay or something, and I've gone through it. And a lot of times for me, I mean, writing very much is kind of a spiritual therapeutic kind of thing, because a lot of times for me, if I'm working on a story or an essay, I'll like address a problem and I'll work it out in a story or I'll work it out in an essay. And once I get it down, hammered out, and to what I think when it's salable, then I'll send it out. And by the time it's out, it's out there. I've worked through if it's an issue, or I've worked through that, or I've been working with it so long that I'm just okay with sharing it for the fact that maybe you want to resonate with readers, so they keep buying your stuff. I don't say buying. I hate to put it that way. So they keep reading your stuff.
Yeah.
Because you want people to come back and read your stuff.
And let's just take this opportunity to remind everybody that we are currently open for submissions for short stories. So if you are watching this and it is before April 2nd, 2021, then go ahead, send us your short stories. We publish all short stories as long as it's not a hardcore genre piece. So send it to us.
Yes.
Now, also, I've got a huge surprise. So if you are submitting to this would end up being our volume 6. So it's the 6th year of us having this short story collection. I already have a short story by a very, very, very well-known author that has already been selected to be included. So he's very excited to be in our short story collection, and we're very excited to have him with us. Once we kind of have everything curated, I'll announce who this guest author is. But you get to be on page. Let's just say you're going to be on the pages with a New York Times bestseller, a gentleman who he has had one of his series made into a Netflix series that was a #1 bestseller globally. So I'm just saying, you want to get your little short story in,
right?
You're going to be on the page with an amazing gentleman. So
yes, submit.
And you have until April. I believe it's April 2nd. And I think we also have another short story collection that's still open. And just again, go to our submittable page, runningwildpress.submittable.com, and you'll see all the submissions that are currently open. Michelle Luke says, if you use it as a short story, can you use it later as a chapter in a book? Yeah, sure.
I do that.
Absolutely. Just be aware, though. So we've gotten this request before. If it is a chapter in a book, it doesn't mean that we're not going to edit it. Just be aware of that. You're still going to be assigned an editor. You're still going to work with the editor on the piece, because a lot of times a chapter in a book may actually, it may not be complete from a narrative perspective, but it is complete within the holistic story itself, right, within that full length piece. So it'll probably end up being a variation to the chapter that you have in your book.
Right.
I hope that made sense. So
yeah.
We've also had instances where someone submitted a short story and it had been published elsewhere, and so we made some recommendations in terms of revision. It's fine. It's just a version 2. This is not a big deal. So just be aware of that. Cool. Awesome. Okay. What else do you have?
All right. Okay. I don't know if I asked you this last time. Do you have, I don't know if I asked you, where do you write at home? Do you have a set working space, like a certain room you work in every time, or is it you anywhere you kind of have your laptop that you sit down to work?
It's so I'm a weirdo that I do a blend of writing by hand and writing on my laptop. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when I'm first doing initial pages to something, or I'm writing out the structure, like the outline, that'll be handwritten, and then I'll type it in my laptop. And it's funny because having that process, it helps me think through the narrative,
right?
And like the plot points that it kind of like, I'll catch things that don't make sense, yeah,
it's almost like an extra draft,
right? Exactly. And then I'll do like the hardcore writing. Like I type pretty fast, so I'll do the hardcore writing like on the laptop. And I can write anywhere. Like I can write on a train. I can write in I used to go to conferences a lot, pre-COVID, and I would literally just sit in the common area at the hotel and write.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean,
I typically have to be in the same place in the office, but I do like every now and again going somewhere. Like I would suggest somebody, if they could, just maybe on the weekend get a hotel room somewhere and just go right there, or fresh places I found help a lot with new ideas, new story concepts, new story ideas.
Oh, I agree. And if you need to knock out pages, like, so I didn't just finish, but I wrote a new manuscript, right? Which is a combination of like dark fiction and a thriller. And I do better knocking out pages if I treat it as if like this is like dedicated 3 or 4 days. And to your point, I'll get a hotel room, or I'll go somewhere that's a fresh space.
Yeah.
And I will just write and write and write and write. I can write up to 10,000 words a day. That's the most I've written.
I'm up to like 5. If I really needed to get words out, I'm at 5,000 a day. But I couldn't imagine doing 10,000.
10,000 10,000. I've already got an outline.
Right.
It means I woke up, I got me some coffee. I might have worked out. I probably didn't shower. I'm still in my robe, and I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm just knocking those pages out, and I'm probably writing from the minute I wake up until 8, 9, until my brain basically says stop.
Right. That's how I know. 6,000 words, and my brain's like, yeah, you're done. So
now, admittedly, my standard is to write around 2,000 words a day when I'm in writing mode, right? Because I'll go through phases where I'm in, I'm research mode, I'm in editing mode, I'm in You know, I'll write the initial pages of something. Um, I'm fleshing it out, or I'll end up writing side stories because there
Yeah.
are elements of characters that I need to flesh out in order for me to more effectively write out whole scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and so when I'm in any of those kinds of modes, where it's more heavily around writing, I give myself a target of 2,000 words a day. But if I'm like, I need to knock this baby out, then it's usually 2 to 5,000 words. But the most I've written in a day is 10,000.
Right. But that's 2,000 is a good work day. Typically, I've just upped my quota, but typically, because I do try and set a quota, so I do get a feeling of accomplishment. But I'm at about, my sweet spot is 500 words a day, and it's not like I'm just a slow writer. I researched that, like, everybody's pace is different. I know some people who can. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say Hemingway wrote The Old Man and the Sea like a month or something, which it's a short book, maybe even less than that. It's a short book, but he was able to crank it out. But some people, this is one author, I cannot remember her name. She says she does 250 words a day.
Anne Rice did Interview with a Vampire over, I think it was a week.
Oh.
Like, I think it was someone in her family passed away, and she was basically in a drunken stupor for a week and wrote Interview with a Vampire.
Wow.
And she locked herself up in her office and just knocked it out. But yeah, no, I'm a big advocate of setting goals too, because I think if you set goals, you know, don't expect that the first thing you're going to write is going to be gold, right? Just get the damn words on the page. That's what revisions are for. Expect yourself to do at least 1, 2, 3 forms of revision. You're supposed to. That's how you make it better. So
yeah, revision.
Michelle Luke asks, can I ask this here? Sure. When you publish, how many arcs do you print, and who do you send them to? We don't actually. So it depends on the book. So we have about 6 reviewers that we send out as a standard. And so we send out paperback versions of the work to them. And it's like the LA Times, New York Times, Kirkus. We only send to Kirkus if we're pretty sure we're going to get a good review, to be honest. And then if the author, we actually solicit as part of the publicity portion of, you know, so when you're assigned a product manager to work with, and you're going through your publicity questionnaire, we actually solicit to the author if there are any bloggers or reviewers that they know would be good to send the work to, and then we'll do that as well. We send it to book lists. So there's several that we do as a standard. Yep, and it's not that we don't print out the arc and send it to them. We actually have it printed for them specifically and sent directly to them from the printer. So it's made just for them. And I can't tell you off the top of my head, Michelle, although I love you sincerely, who they all are, because we have, like I said, we've got a list of something like 10 or 15, and we don't send it to everybody. It's only to those reviewers that it makes sense to, right? So if there's a reviewer who specializes in horror, there's no way in hell I'm sending that person a romance.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. So, and it's always, as always, it's a collaboration with the author. So if the author turns around and says, hey guys, I know of these bloggers, or I know of these reviewers who would be great to send this to, so you tell us, and we send it to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, cool. And Michelle, by the way, you're the reason why I'm putting this offer out here for the entire world. If anybody wants me to come and talk to their writers group about publishing or distribution or social media or marketing or creative writing or anything like that, because I know Michelle had come forward to us with a lot of questions from her writers group that were kind of, it was very clear who the requesters were of the questions based on the kinds of questions that were received. So, and I still put it out there, Michelle. I'm more than happy to come and talk to them. So cool. Okay. We've got 5 minutes. Do you want to attack another question or?
All right, let's see. Do you listen to music while you write or have any kind of white noise in the background or anything like that?
Man, I wish I could. When early on when I'm writing fiction, I can't, because what I realized is I start typing in the lyrics to the song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'll go back. I'm like, what is this whole section? This doesn't
Right.
make any sense. And I'm like, oh, that's a stanza.
Right. Right.
But I mean, I can, as long as there's no words to it, I can. But to your point, right? The music oftentimes sets the mood. So, it's just being a little cautious in terms of what music,
Yeah.
So what about you?
Oh, definitely. Music, definitely music in the background. Like you said, setting the tone, setting the mood, just kind of I listen to a lot of R&B, so I listen to R&B when I'm writing. Typically day to day, it's more hip hop, but throughout the day. But when I sit down to work, it's R&B. And yeah, for sure. It's definitely something I do. Initially, I was like that. I couldn't do it. I had to have this quiet space thoughts, and I mean that worked. But I don't know what happened one day. Music may have just been playing in the back. Yeah, music may have been playing in the background, and I didn't notice until I may have taken a break, and I heard it, and it kind of got me in a groove, and it's been history ever since.
Nice.
So that's what I do.
I mean, I do love, I've always been a fan of, I'm a huge music fan of across every genre, basically, of music. I listen to everything. So I do love books that have a lot of music references, or books that have when they have in the back of it, this is this character's book, favorite songs. I love that. I think that's so fun. I would love to see Spotify or Apple Tunes actually publish a compilation of those songs and have it come out at the same time as those books come out. I just think that would be so dope. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Girl, you got me excited. That would be amazing.
I would be all over them. I mean, I'm sure lots of people would be all over, but I would be there, because a lot of my favorite authors do that. They'll publish here's so and so's favorite songs, or these are the songs that are the themes to this novel or whatever. iTunes needs to get on that. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, well, that's crazy.
That would be so dope. I would be all over that. So anyway, okay. And actually that might make me start publishing in my own stuff, a list of inspirational songs or ones that fit the theme of that book.
Right.
Then I would totally do that.
Yes, that's crazy. That's a good idea. I don't know. I was excited. That one that would be dope. It would be
really dope. Yeah. Okay, so Michelle asks, what's the cutoff date for the short stories again? Sure. I believe it's April 2nd. You may want to go to runningwildpress.submittable.com just to confirm, but I'm pretty sure it's April 2nd. And then there's another one that is a short story collection that's been out called the Red Flags Anthology. That's going to be edited by Lisa Montaigne. And I think that one's open for a while. I think that one's open till May or something like that. And that's basically, it's stories based on, where the character had red flags, so that inner feeling that something's wrong, something bad's about to happen, that kind of thing. So check that out. Cool. Okay. We have 1 minute. I don't know if you want to hit up one more question, or if there's anything else you want to cover.
Let's see. I have another question. Actually, that one right. You know, can you do you have to be because I think about this. I think about me. Do you have to be in a room by yourself to work, or can things be happening around you at home that you can tune out and not necessarily have to on the regular? I know you said you go to conferences, you can do it, but I mean regular everyday lounging around, sitting down to work. Are you easily distracted when you're kind of not, rage writing or, crushing out a million words, but when you're just kind of going at your regular pace, are you able to stay locked in and not be easily distracted?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times, especially when I'm in the early stages, I'm doing a combination of writing and research. Like I'll hit a point where I'm like, oh, you know what? I really need to kind of dive into that a little bit more.
Right.
I need to understand this a little bit more before I can feel like I'm writing it effectively.
Right.
So
yeah, I have to be complete solitude when I work.
well, that's why you write at 3 a.m.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. It is, super late. But yeah, it is. That's why, so,
yeah, totally makes sense.
yeah,
Awesome.
it is. You guys, it's the only time people are, the world is sleep.
Yep. Okay. So with that, we are at the end of another Run Wild with Us. Ask Us Anything. Don't forget, guys, every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, live on Facebook, live on Twitter, live on YouTube. If you have questions and it's after this, go ahead, pop them in the comments section. Chris and I go back, we check, we answer the subsequent week. Also, if you've got a short story, send it to us. We are taking submissions right now through, I believe it's April 2nd. After that, we actually then open submissions for novellas. So look for that. You'll see the novella submission period opening. And we are always open for fiction and nonfiction. So with that, we love you. Have a fantastic week, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.